This is Ty Lewis, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're here today. Today, I wanted to talk about marriage. Oh gosh, when I was single, when I was in my single season, I wish that I had someone to sit me down and just talk about the ins and outs of marriage and what to expect, and not want to yearn for marriage and just say, I want to be married and have marriage on my mind all the time. I wish that I understood that there is a season and a time for everything. And while I was in my single season, I wish I would have enjoyed that, not knowing that marriage is about two people that understand how to die to self, that are coming together, two whole people that God actually worked on and put together, and just will come together and understand that marriage is about coming together as one and not two independent people doing their own thing. And honestly, I know a lot of you are in marriages right now and you're like, you know what, I'm about to throw in the towel because this is not working for me. But I don't want you to throw in the towel just yet. I want you to understand that marriage is a beautiful thing. And although there are times when you didn't start out the right way, marriage can end because God, in a beautiful way, because God has the ability to restore things that were just so broken. Just honestly with me, like, I know that there are ministries, and when I was young, I wish I had a ministry that taught me how to wait on God's best and just save myself from marriage. But just to be honest, I didn't do that, and I was so out of the will of God when I met my husband, and then we were sleeping with each other. You know, we were having sex outside of marriage, and we just weren't doing everything the correct way. I had my baby before I got married, and I'm not saying that that is the best way, because it's not. But what I want you to understand is, even though those things might have happened, God's grace is still sufficient, and He still loves you. And even though I made bad decisions, or I don't want to say bad decisions, let me backtrack. Even though I made decisions that were out of the will of God, God still graced me enough to make sure that my husband was the one for me, knowing that even though we didn't get together the right way, it was still God's way, because God ended up working that thing out for my good. And my husband is amazing, and he just carries me through just a ministry, and he leads our house so well. He's an excellent husband and an excellent father. And I know a lot of people look to us for just as marriage goals, and I hate that, because you get a glimpse on social media of what marriage is about, and our marriage is not perfect. We have worked to this point, and we have died to self, to our flesh, and allowed God to work on us. And just to be honest, when we first got married, my husband wasn't in church, and that was an issue for me, because even though I was saved, I wasn't in the will of God, but I was still saved. And I was just badgering him to come to church, and he was like, Ty, you know, I love the Lord. I'm going to sit here and watch TV and watch the preachers on TV, and I don't need to go to church to say that I love God. And that was such an issue for me, because I wanted my husband to come to church with me and my child. And I used to just nag him about that, like, so much. And there was one time when God told me, shut up. Like, literally like that, like, stop nagging that man. And I would go and I'd be like, Leslie, you're not coming to church today. Like, you're such a sinner. And I was off the chain. Like, I was cursing at him. I was just going off, and I was doing all sort of things. And he was looking at me, and I wasn't the example of being a godly wife. And I'm sure in his mind, he was thinking, and he never said it, like, why do I need to go to church when you're off the chain? Like, you don't know how to talk to me. You just won't shut up. You're a nagging wife. Why do I need to follow you? And God had to humble me, and I had to submit to God and understand, like, Ty, shut up. Like, learn the spirit of shut up. And I was looking at God to, like, really? You want me to be quiet? You want me to stop asking? And he said, stop asking that man to go to church, and you become the church. And a lot of us don't understand about becoming the church and doing what God called us to do. So I shut my mouth, and I began to intercede on God, on his behalf. And I began to change, and God began to work on me. And one day I was in the shower, and God said, go ask him to go to church. And I was like, but nah, God, because I'm not about to get embarrassed, because you told me to shut up, And he keep telling me no, he's not coming to church. And God said, go downstairs and ask him to go to church. And it was during that transition where I was changing. And so I went downstairs and I was like, babe, hey, baby, you want to go to church? And he was like, sure. And from that day on, I never had to ask him another day in my life why. It wasn't because just I was amazing, but it was because God had done something in my life and I began to change, and he saw the change in me. So he saw if she became the church, then of course there's something in me that I need to change as well. So marriage, everybody wants to get married. And marriage is a beautiful thing. It's an amazing thing, but it's also something that you have to work on daily. Marriage is about just mirroring the image of Christ's love for the church. And marriage is again about submitting yourself and dying to self. And so many people want to have a wedding, but everybody doesn't want to get married, because when people get married, it's like, oh my God, like I have all of this to do. Like I have to submit to this dude. Why I have to submit to this dude? And he don't even go to church, but you chose him. But that's another YouTube video for another day. So anyway, I just wanted to give you some quick tips. And I'm not perfect. My marriage is not perfect, but these are some things that work for us. So tip number one. One thing that I've learned is, and my father raised me. My father's an amazing man. He raised me to be independent. You don't ask anybody for any money. You come to daddy, because daddy, supplies all of your needs. And so I went into my relationship like that. And not understanding how to submit to my husband, and just going into the relationship like, look, I don't need you. I don't need you to change my tires, my oil. I don't need you to do anything for me. I could shop. I got my credit cards. I got my money in the bank. Shawty, what you think? And I didn't want to say drink, but just all of that. And I had to learn how to submit, because I wanted to do everything on my own. And being married is not being about being independent. It's about understanding how to submit. And in Ephesians 5:22 and 23 says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do unto the Lord. So if you are working in the will of the Lord and God tells you to do something, you're not going to tell God no, right? You're going to submit to his will. So all God is asking you to do is submit unto your husband as he submits unto the Lord. Then it says, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Now, submission, a lot of people don't like submission, and they say, well, submission equals slavery. That's a lie. Submission doesn't mean that your husband is telling you what to do and you're a doormat. Submission is beauty. Submission is understanding that my husband has submitted to the Lord, and as Christ leads him, he has the ability to lead our family, and he's going to do it in grace, and he's going to honor that thing that Christ gave him, which is our marriage. So I don't mind submitting to my husband, because I know he's following God, and I know that he wants what's best for our family. So I don't have a problem doing that. And even when I feel like he's making wrong decisions, or what I feel like is wrong decisions for our family, God is going to direct him in the right path, and it's always going to work out for our good. So number one, again, wives, understand that you have to submit to your husband, and you're not the boss of the marriage. The husband is the head, but wives, you always turn the neck. All right. So number two, we talked about submission. If he wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wrote this on my Instagram, baby, learn how to tip and tip and dip. So a lot of us want to withhold sex from our husbands, and that's a no-no. You may be angry at him, but don't use sex as a tool to withhold from him. If he wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you have to get up at 4:45, honey, turn over and give him some sleepy tail. Number three, laugh. What I've learned is laughter cures just everything. Learn how to laugh in your marriage. When you stop laughing, that's when the marriage is over. You can't argue about everything. Just if he puts his socks on the floor next to the hamster, the dirty clothes hamper, instead of inside the dirty clothes hamper, laugh, and don't always nag him and fuss about the little things, because it's the little things that end the marriage and not the big things. Next, understand that your husband is your best friend. Like, anytime we're out, people always see me and Leslie together and our kids. Like, we're always together. If somebody doesn't see us together, they're like, where's your wife? Where's your husband? Learn how to make your husband your best friend, because your best friend is the one that you talk to. That's the shoulder you lean on when you're having a bad day, when you're crying, and that's the one that's going to assist you in moving into your purpose. Next, girl, hush. Zip it. Close your mouth. Learn the ministry of shh. Learn to zip it. www.zipit.com. Okay, like the word talks about, a man would rather live on a rooftop than in a house with a nagging wife. You have to learn how to be quiet. Like, everything is not that serious. You don't have to argue about everything. You don't have to nag that man about everything, because that's aggravating. And a man doesn't want to be nagged all the time. Like, learn how to talk to him instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so sick of you. Like, you left that plate in the sink. I'm tired of you. Say, baby, you know what? If you can just help me out, and just, if instead of leaving your plate on the table, you put it in the sink for me, and then if you put it in the sink, could you wash it out for me? That'll just help me out, because I'm so tired. It's all in your approach, ladies. It's all in the way that you come at that man. Like, when you're married, put on some lingerie. If you're mad at that dude, put on some lingerie and be like, look, baby, I didn't like the way that you left your socks by the dirty clothes hamper, but let me show you what I'm about to do with your socks. You gotta turn that thing around, girl. Turn it around. But learn how to stop arguing about everything and learn how to zip it. And next, stop pointing at his or her flaws. Like, everybody has flaws, and marriage is about growth. So when you go to God and you get in your quiet time, stop praying about that man. And what I mean about, and pray for him and not about him. So stop telling God all of his issues and pray for him. Be that covering. Like, send blessings his way. Stop always asking God to fix him when you're raggedy. Like, you don't have it all together. So instead of praying for against him, and about him, pray for him and bring him to God, because that's what both of you need. And then ask God to fix you in the issues that you have on the inside, so that you can grow in your marriage. And lastly, I need you to fight. Fight. I need you to fight for each other. Know that the enemy wants nothing but to destroy marriages in this season, because again, marriage is about mirroring Christ's love for the church. So when you're strong and the enemy sees that you're happy and you're laughing, he's going to send that one stupid thing to just destroy your marriage. Again, it's not about the big things that in the marriage. It's always the little things that add up to the big things that will end a marriage. Guys, you have to fight for each other. You have to love each other. You have to win each other over, just with your gentleness and your meekness, and understanding that God is love. And even if your marriage is down and out, you can get through anything. All right? So those are a couple of my tips. I love you guys, but remember that God loves you more. Fight for your marriage, because it's so worth it. Don't rush to get to the altar, because marriage is work. And understand, when you get there, it's all about revealing God's plan and purpose for the two of you that he put together. Remember, how can two walk together unless they agree? This is Ty Lewis, and I hope that you're having an amazing day. Love you.